Okay, so we're now back in on the 11th list, Chris's Ogre Kingdoms list. So you guys have a much better idea here. I think, Alex, have you played it the
I played
most?
it. I played it on Friday.
All right. Well, do you want to start and just give us a rundown? Because a lot of us don't know a lot about ogres.
Ogres, everyone says are trash, and if you're not careful, th they will catch you off guard because again, monstrous infantry are wounds dense, attacks dense, and can hit hard. So if you can avoid them, I think of course the elf list probably have an advantage here. But compared to Chris's last list, the bruiser on the Stonehorn is almost dragon level power because he gets impact hits. The bruiser itself, I think, is strength 7 with a great weapon. Um, he doesn't get stomps from memory with the stone horn,
No, it doesn't.
if I remember that. Um, but I don't think I did a single wound to him. Through he killed my chaos spawn. He chewed through a bunch of dragon ogres. Didn't do a single wound because again the Spangle Shard providing that 4-up ward save is quite hard to get through unless he rolls a 1. Of course, that might happen, but on the average of things, it's probably okay. The Slaughter Master rolling up Spectral Doppelganger on Illusion turns him into another combat beast that you have to watch out for. So, Chris's Ogre list, I feel is you're either going to lose 18 to 2 or you're going to win 18 to 2 on that side. There's almost not much middle ground. By the way, the Mournfangs are probably the best cavalry in the game.
Big call. Alistair, you've played against ogres before.
Yeah, extensively between Chris and another friend of ours, Tom. Yeah, I've played plenty of ogres in the past. I just echo everything that Alex has said. With the exception of the Slaughtermaster is even without Doppelganger, it's a scary character. It's still a big ogre with a strength 5 AP -1 weapon. So whether it ends up being a support caster with illusion spells that doesn't necessarily engage, it's always something that you should think twice about sort of going in and engaging because it's still very scary. The Iron Guts having the Cannibal Totem gives them regen,
Yep.
basically, which is very strong on that sort of unit as well with great weapons. I mean, they hit so hard. And yeah, the Bruiser for its points is just so remarkably strong. Tough to 6 with a 4+ 4+ ward save and a 4+ armor save. And just sitting there with combat res from the battle standard, just hitting you. Like he doesn't even necessarily really need to do all that much to you. It just the Stonehorn not having stomps is a bit of a sucker punch to them. But again, if he gets the charge on you, he's getting the impact hit, and he's going to win
D6
combat.
+1
Yeah,
impact hits at
which
AP
is
-2.
super strong. So the cannon of the Sky Titans, we can't look past on the Iron Blaster. That is a cannon. That's a proper cannon that will shoot you and do cannon things. So he has a little bit of ranged capacity as well. But if you get caught with those Iron Guts and suddenly the Mournfangs appear from nowhere, which they have a tendency to do, you're in for a real bad time.
Just remember the Bruiser is immune to multi-wound weapons
Yes.
with the stone skeleton. So um, the Shabti and things like that doesn't matter.
Mm. It's funny that it's a list though that won't be taking any objective scenario points, despite all the threats about Noblars.
It could with the Iron Guts.
Can
They're
it? Because
monstrous
it's
infantry.
they could
And
be
they
in
do get a
two
They are
free.
infantry, and there's one rank. And I know
yeah.
this, Alex, because that one rank bonus made me lose the combat on Friday.
Well, there you go, folks at home. There's my D- paper on ogres. Which Paddy, do you have anything better to add? But I'm just like, I'm gonna put this in an
Yeah,
old world
look,
builder. If I draw it, look up a few stats and then see what happens.
yeah. This is. I don't know a lot about ogres, much like chaos dwarves, but I do know that they're really tough. Which this is like the complete opposite of my army. I run away, it runs towards. They're all toughness 4 minimum. I'm toughness 3 across the board. I'm also strength 3 across the board pretty much, except for fireball. So it's tough for me to wound these guys, so I have to run away and run away well. If I get caught, my guys will literally get bloody obliterated on the impact hits alone. So yeah, I kind of like I'd like to play this list because it's just the polar opposite of what my list does. And we'd catch each other out on stuff.
Yeah, and I feel like
He'll be
ogres,
praying not to fight the Bretonnians. Let's put it that way.
it must be pretty cheap to build an ogre army.
No.
Printing.
Well, hang on. From a dollar standpoint or from a point standpoint, because the first thing that Chris will do when he hears you say that is no one understands how hard list building is until you build an ogre army because of how expensive just an ogre is. But from a dollar standpoint, maybe, but then everything's so expensive from Games Workshops now anyway. Everything's a hit to the pocket.
Well, how did Chris go last time? 1-2? Or did he played in the first one, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. I think he won 1, lost 2. I played him in the 3rd round and won. But again, he beat me on Friday, quite substantially. So, his list is like the natural predator of mine.
Well, hopefully he does well this time, because we've come polar opposites to Paul, and he's called it the unnamed list. Maybe it is the list that should not be named. But I guess they're gonna have different opinions here. But he's got the Baron, so it's an Exiles Bretonnian list. He's got the Baron, and the Baron has the Falcon Horn, Syrian's Locket, so no multiple wounds, Virtue of Heroism, which is the D3 Hatred, as we said earlier. And then he has a Paladin, Battle Center Bearer, War Banner, Pegasus 2, Virtue of Knightly Temper. Sorry, I got them the wrong way around. Heroism is their Monster Slayer, Killing Blow 1, and Knightly Temper's the D3 Hatred 1, and that has the Frontier Axe +2, Strength -2 AP, multiple wounds 2, Gauntlet of the Jewel, so you have to fight him. Then beyond that, 10 Mountain Knights of the Realm, Banner of Shalons, No Stand and Shoot, 5 Yeomen, Mounted Yeomen, 10 Bowmen, 4 Peg Knights, and then 3 Peg Knights and a Bombard. No level 4, but yeah, we thought Paul might have had a list like this. He took something similar to Moab. Paddy, what do you reckon?
This is maxed out for me. 1,500 points. This is about as good as it gets. This is the Exiles list at 1,500 points. No level 4, sure, but I don't think it needs one. I think this is probably the strongest list in all of them. 7 Peg Knights is horrendous. The characters are out of control. The other units don't matter. It has a cannon. If it misfires, it dies, whatever. But it's just 7 fucking Peg Knights. And bastardly characters.
Vanguarding Peg Knights, yeah.
Yeah, like this is like some people might think my list is the meta list as well, which is fine. This is like as you do the Exiles list at 1,500 points. I don't think it's any more efficient. I think it's the best list in the game. So it's the best list in this tournament to me.
Real talk, Alex. What do you think? Are you worried?
Oh, this is take this the best way, Paul. The flavor of the month list is doing well on all the tournament scenes to the max. I don't want to see this at all. Even though I can deal with Pegasus Knights conceptually with magic missiles, it's just an efficient way of maybe I can kill one unit and then the other one lands. So do I kill the Paladin unit? The Frontier Axe is disgusting. Do I kill the Baron unit? I don't know. So I agree with Paddy. This is the strongest list to come up against. Does not care that there's no magic. He doesn't need one. Same principle as you, Alex. To send one of the units after the opposing level 4, shut it down, and then hunt the other big units down using the Baron unit. You know, not much is going to stand up against this.
Alasdair?
Yeah, I mean, it's established the Pegasus Knights block. They just function as additional wounds to the characters. The one saving grace for me is that if one of these characters ends up going after the dragon and fails on the charge to kill it, then the dragon wins, and I probably end up turning on that unit pretty convincingly. The problem is escaping that many attacks with, you know, pretty anti-large creature tailored abilities is the real key. The Falcon Horn for me, obviously, it's very unfortunate that I lose flying on the dragon, but at the same time, the dragon's still movement 6 and still has Swift Stride. The Falcon Horn doesn't take that away. So it just becomes an extension of the Cold One Knights that I'm running. The problem with, you know, playing against a list like this for me is the lack of control that I end up having just by dint of, you know, Pegasus Knights flying around with Swift Stride, Flight 10 charges, skirmish, you know, fly directly over the top of my line, and I have to either waste time turning around to try and just match them or just take recharges, and everything else is flavor. It's Pegasus Knight, Death Stars, followed up by, you know, the rest. And I would hate to play it. I know Paul's going to be seeing this. I don't want to play you, Paul, but you know, we'll see.
Nice guy,
we'll
Paul.
see.
Lovely guy. I had the pleasure of playing last time, Paul, but yeah, I sort of had a moment of crisis because I was sort of locked into it. I was going to play and paint for this event and knew that Falcon Horns were coming, and my guys get reduced to movement 2. So yeah, we'll see. But the no level
Sounds like
4
there's a
thing-
grudge match there.
Oh, yeah. Paul, we can't play again, right? Are you trying Alex Searle tactics?
Oh no, you can.
Yeah.
You can.
So many more people I could meet. Oh, this. Please, I gotta stay offline for 24 hours now. But yeah, I devastate. I think no level 4 gives me a glimmer of hope that I might be able to do things, but whether they matter
False
in
hope.
the end,
False
yeah,
hope.
probably. I've lived my life with blind optimism, and in this case, looking at this again, yeah, it's worrying, isn't it? The 360 line of sight, it just takes away so many of the strengths I have already, and I don't think like just even not being able to pop the characters, maybe shoot a few, but it's just going to get up on you so fast with that Vanguard thing too. I can't definitely drop 4 or 5 Peg Knights in a turn, so we'll see. I think, yeah, I tried to put money on you last time, Paul. I probably would do it again, but you know, if you kill a few dragons for me, you can take my money in other ways. So we'll see how we go.
He will.
He will. Mike, friend of the pod, one of the originators of the pod, the godfather of Warhammer in our world. Paddy, do you want to just go through Mike's list? You played this on the weekend. What do you think?
Yeah. I played this yesterday against Mike. You'll look at this list and be like, there's no threats here. But Mike, just to shout out again, I don't think I've met someone with the grasp of the rules that he does and being able to efficiently execute stuff and catch you off guard. His Demon Prince is 500 points. He wants to get it in combat, but as we've discussed offline as well, I believe it's a bit of a trap with the unstable rule, but it's skirmish, fly 9, mark and noble, wizard with demonology, 3-up armor save with pick your spells. Pendant of Damnation gives you an extra attack for each wound you take. And the extra arm gives you another attack. So he's geared it for combat, which I've persistently told him is a trap, but he refuses to listen. And I couldn't do anything against it yesterday. It was obnoxious, like the solo skirmishing characters with fly 9. It doesn't even have Swift Stride, and it was still like, it was such a threat. The 20 Chaos Warriors, I think the chat around them is true. I ended up wiping them with Strength 3 shooting across the game, all 20 of them. Marauder Horseman, I love. He's addicted to throwing axes because it's the way the model is built. I think it's the wrong way to go, but hey, that's why we love Mike. Chaos Chariot does its thing. I killed it, but it's always a threat. Chosen Knights, I love. The Frenzy is a thing. But if they get into combat against the wrong thing, they demolish them. And the armor save, he saved a couple with his 6-up ward as well, which is a sneaky little bonus for them. They are expensive though. The 10 Chosen Warriors, I think, are great. I think Chosen Warriors are actually really good. The drilled makes them maneuverable. He executed that well yesterday against me. And he's given them shields and great weapons. No, yeah, he has. So hard to kill on the way in, and then he has the flexibility. If he's in a combat that he might not do damage in, he just picks the shield, and then they're back to their 3-up armor save, 6-up ward save. So yeah, look, yeah, not the most on meta list, and maybe not the scariest, but Mike's a good player. So if you underestimate it, he can make you pay for sure.
Alex, as a Warriors player?
Couple of comments. One, I feel like Mike should be rocking the Heralds of Darkness. I feel like he's the right guy to take that list and go, I'm just going to maximize the hell out of this, screw what people are saying on the internet, and absolutely go for it. This list is sneaky. I know Mike is trying to pull one on everyone, but tell me this: does he pick Steed of Shadows, Paddy?
He didn't.
Infantry 5-12. Well,
I told him
because a drilled
I think
unit.
I've turned him around, so I think he will in the tournament because that makes the Chosen so much better.
Yeah, and they can fly 24 inches or 36 if they're in marching column and do a lot of surprise tactics on there. The 10 unit Chosen Warriors on foot is the one unit people are going to naturally ignore, and then he's going to roll in. Demonology is an interesting choice. I assume he takes the Assailment spell and Demonology just to make it a bit more combat prowess. Roll in. Strength 6 is nothing to sneeze at on the Demon Prince, being its base strength. He's high initiative, high weapon skill. I personally am terrified of running a Demon Prince again because of that unstable. But yeah, it's 500 points in there. I think Mike is going to catch a few people off guard. By the way, the 20 Chaos Warriors, Paddy, are there to die anyway, I would suggest. The 7 Marauder Horsemen with throwing axes, was not expecting that ever. But I want to see the models. I want to see the models because if there's a great vibe going there, then Ruler Cool will inevitably end up in him one-shotting my Chaos Sorcerer with those throwing axes or something on there. So yeah, given I think I've seen him play the Chaos Chariot in a few of the battle reports and the Chosen Knights, got to go Heralds of Darkness. Get that Chosen Chariot, Mike. I want to see it. I want to see it.
Yeah.
Alasdair, you've never met Mike, but Mike will not bow to anyone else's list building strategy. Herald of Darkness or not, he's playing his own warband, and this is what it is. What do you think of it?
It's nice to see. It's nice to see Chaos Warriors, to be honest, after only playing against Marauders for however long. Like it's good to see them back on the board. I mean, it's a tempting unit. I can see why it's there. Big, it's juicy, it's relatively fragile, and it's a trap because everything else is what's going to do the damage, not necessarily the Chaos Warriors. So, yeah, I mean, all the things that you guys have said. I think the Demon Prince is incredible, provided that it's supported. Because otherwise, if it loses on combat res and suddenly it's burning through its wounds, then you end up in big trouble. But you know, if with Fly 9 he's capable of putting it with the Chosen Knights and getting them in together, then there's going to be very few things that can stand in that Demon Prince's way, particularly given how hard it is to kill. So, yeah, I mean, it's going to be a fun list. I'd love to see Chaos Chariots. I'd love to see a Gore-Beast Chariot, to be perfectly honest. I haven't seen one in Yonks, and I think they're still incredible. But a standard Chaos Chariot will do in the interim. And otherwise, yeah, it'll be very scary given the diversity of stuff that's in there to sort of pick what to deal with and try and figure out what's coming before it hits.
Interestingly, I think actually the Demon Prince has the best chance against your dragon. Because if he gets demonic vigor off to give himself +1 movement toughness and a couple of the other buffs, so he'll get demonic familiars off, which he just needs 6s to do a couple of wounds. He's toughness 6. He's got a bunch of attacks. He's wounding.
He takes demonic familiars too, which is sneaky good.
That's what I'm saying. Yep. get a couple of wounds off there. You're wounding him on 4s, off your. Actually, no, you'd be wounding him on 5s off your character. Is a
Yeah,
Dark Dragon,
the
Black
dragon's
Dragon strength 7? Oh, okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
dragon's 7. But
Okay.
isn't Mark of Nurgle -1 to hit?
No, reroll 6s to hit.
No, reroll 6s.
Okay, well, I mean that'll have an impact, right? It's reasonable chance, at least with the Dreadlord. But yeah, I mean, definitely, it just ultimately depends on how the dice end up rolling, and you know, if he does go in with that as the answer to the dragon, whether or not his spells go off in the end. But yeah, it'll be good.
It just seemed yesterday, I looked over, it seems to take up a lot of space too, Paddy, that army a bit. So
Yeah.
he has the infantry.
Dense.
Yeah, dense. Like it just looked like it clogged up a lot of the space that some of the armies like mine particularly would want. There'd be a lot of open rain or open space and lanes between things. But yeah, I think everyone will find Mike fun to play against. I know he's looking forward to it. And if you back in some of the earlier videos, I don't think he's been on for a while, Paddy, but we'll probably have him on after.
Yeah.
And
Is
talk
this his
about
first tournament?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah.
I think it's you next, Paddy. Is it? Yes, it is. We'll just hit
It
it.
is,
All right,
yeah.
cut the stream. Cut the stream. We're done.
We've been over this 1,000 times. This is where we're up to. Tell us all about it.
Yeah, the layout of my list is really annoying me. But yeah, the spell. So I've got a Spell Singer, level 2, Battle Magic, Law Familiar, a Spell Weaver, level 4 on a Warhawk, Battle Magic, Oaken Stave, Ruby Ring, and then a Waystalker with Ascendi's Bane and Swift Shiver Shards. In core, 8 Deepwood Scouts, Hagbane, 10 Glade Guard, Arcane Bodkins, 8 Glade Riders, Reserve Move, Full Command, Hagbane tips, sorry, not Full Command, Standard Bearer Musician with the Banner of Midsummer's Eve, which makes them ignore cover, which is very obnoxious with skirmishes. And then 8 Deepwood Scouts, Hagbane, 5 Sisters of the Thorn with the Handmaiden and the Standard Bearer, so they can pick their spell and be a level 2. 5 Wild Riders with a Wild Hunter, which is the champion, and then 6 Way Watchers with a champion that has Swift Shiver Shards. So this is obviously, you know, your pillar spam at 1,500 points. I can get max 3 pillars. I can guarantee 2, but I have to roll for the 3rd one. And ideally, I have 3 pillars and 3 fireballs, including the Ruby Ring. So that is my damage output. Really, I can clear chaff really efficiently with the amount of bows I have, but what I am finding is high mobility, long range. I'm playing against Alex recently. The sisters wreck this army because they just annihilate toughness 3. Stuff that's skirmishing and quick annihilates this army because I can't get away from it. But if I can get away from it, I tend to be able to get away from it. So long range shooting, fast moving stuff kills this list. For me, at least. I'm starting to learn. I've played this list 3 times now, I think. And I don't think it's the list for me long term. It's not really how I want to play Warhammer. It's definitely effective, but it's not, you know, I don't think people necessarily enjoy playing against it. And I don't love playing it. It just doesn't feel very real. So this will end the chapter of this. Like this is a chapter of Old World for me, and the tournament will kind of bookend that, and I'll go a different direction with Wood Elves 100% after this tournament, but I will play this list as it's meant to be played, just to see it work. But yeah, Alex, you've played against this list. We did basically your high elf list against almost this list. What did you think of it?
Yeah, look, I think the Spellweaver is the underrated. It's just oppressive. That Oaken Stave Spellweaver with the Warhawk has all of these extra features that make it really like impossible to get to. We'll do a battle report on me getting something through yesterday, which was really good, but it was probably more to be sitting atop a dragon, which made it easier to do than normal. I think a pillar of fire sucks in so many ways, but I don't think I think it gets a bad rap for what. Like, I think there needs to be armies like this in the game, and we'll get to Paddy Gallagher's list later. I think that's a fun sort of combo-y thing too, and you sort of it's a bit of variation. I think sometimes the Wood Elves get a bad rap. I don't think High Elves or Dark Elves play that much differently. Toughness 3 is so bad. Like you can have 15 special
Toughness
rules
3,
and you
no
just
armor
die.
is
Like it
so
doesn't matter.
bad.
It doesn't matter. And like I think that's a huge thing. Everyone's, oh, elves have got all this stuff, and I'm not here to start like some sort of conversation, like a race war about it. But it's amazing how it just folds when it folds. And I think it's probably not fun to play against it one way in the sense that like unit smashing against each other. There's not a lot of combat that where with much tension in it ever. It's sort of things. The combats never last more than one round. But I do think it has its place in the game, and I think the Way Watchers are more fun than just a rando tree man. Anyway, I think tree men are not that great, sadly, at the moment. And if you're going to bring them back, they've got to be part of something that's going to amplify them, especially at 1500. I mean, a tree man ancient might be good, but you can't put anything on it. So yeah, I think this is pretty good. I still think that it's in this field, it's going to do okay. And I think Pillar, I just don't know an army that's okay against Pillars the way they work in the rules at the moment. So yeah, I don't mind playing against it. And I think if anyone's really that fast by it, well, there's got to be some sort of control-y type armies out there, and this is just it at the moment.
Alex, Chaos Alex, have you played against a list like this? You're across
Oh,
the
look,
meta.
mate,
What do you think of
I've
it?
played shooting Eldar and 40k for 20 years. I mean, it's effectively the same thing, right? That you're going for here. I think you and I are the only two kind of magic missile type lists in this tournament,
Yeah.
as opposed to the last one when we had the king of it himself, Alasdair. Um, of course, changing it up this time. But yeah, I do agree with Alex's synopsis that as much as I hate the idea of like so many Pillars of Fires going around, and I think it's probably healthy for the game to limit it to one remains in play vortex on the battlefield per army. Right now, I think you're the only one that's doing this in the tournament, so it's not so bad. You know, if we had 5 or 6 Wood Elf players doing this, I might have a stronger opinion as to what happens. But yeah, it's a pretty strong list that will fall apart if you get caught, as you say. But I think you've got enough games now under your belt to not get caught by a dragon or by anything else. Probably the shooting armies that we'll see later on down might randomly cause you some issues across from there. That can be like 10 wide units chasing you down and not giving you any gaps. But I actually have not played Wood Elves in this version of Old World, so um, maybe we'll play each other after Jeff curb stomps me.
He might win.
Alasdair,
He does have a mental
He
breakdown
might.
in the
He
first
might.
game,
yeah.
moving every model individually.
Alasdair, what do you think? I imagine you have very strong views about this.
Look, I I think you're right, and I will try and be as fair as I can in the circumstances. But I think you're right. It's important that something like this, first of all, gets played in our environment, because we haven't seen anything so strictly leaning into the strengths of Wood Elves in such a way. And in all fairness to you, it is not as obnoxious as it could have been. There's lots of opportunity that you could have been to break it down to 5-man units and really limit the points that your opponent is going to have the access to, and you haven't done that. So, you know, total kudos to you in terms of at least giving opportunity back to lists that would be capable of sort of catching units and doing damage. That said, you know, this is you really are leaning into Wood Elf strengths, which Wood Elves have to have something, because they don't do a lot of I mean, the other elves have opportunities to not be so glass cannony. It's not a huge amount of them, but the other elves do have, like, high elves have dragon princes and silver helms. You know, dark elves have cold one knights. Both of those have infantry with full plate armor. That's toughness 3, granted, but is still harder to kill than a 6+ save or no save at all, you know, on a lot of the Wood Elf stuff. So Wood Elves have to have that variation, and it is what it is at the moment. I am more inclined to agree with Alex to limit vortexes, even after last tournament where I ended up in a situation where I was the person with all the vortexes. It was Vortex of Chaos instead of Pillar of Fire, but I still ended up in that situation where in my game versus Keith, I think I had 4 vortexes up and 3 of them were identical. So it's a bit tricky, but we'll see what the rules end up looking like in 6 months, 12 months time, and maybe it corrects for something like this. That said, this terrifies me. This is my dragon will survive and nothing else will. So it just depends on, as you point out, can I kill 520 points of stuff to cause a draw or a little bit more and be totally prepared to just lose the rest of my army? The exception might be the Cold Run Knights, which could end up being surprising, but at the same time, Weight of Fire has a way of burning through toughness 4, even with 2+ armor save. So yeah, we'll see. Again, hope I don't play you, but if we do, at least I know you're a good person. And
look, take some solace out of the fact that my brain is going to be almost exploding at the end of 3 games.
Like game one.
It is
game one.
I've thankfully played a few of them now, but the skirmish overload into like dispel range overload into oak and stave playing range into reserve move into all that stuff, it is taxing, man. So as I said, I agree with Alasdair. Would else have to play this way to be good? Not necessarily pillar spam, but they have to lean into it.
Bring your checklist and you'll be fine. And ultimately, I mean, maybe someone finds a different way to play Wood Elves that doesn't do so much of this, but there's always going to be variations on this. Even if it's more traditional gun lines, you don't go bouncing in and out like the Wood Elves do, but at the same time, it's the same principles. It's introducing shooting and taking advantage of acting at range. My biggest foible, as I said before, is it doesn't really feel like traditional Warhammer to me, but that is a me problem, not necessarily a you problem or a game problem. It's just a me problem.
So the natural counter for the Bretonnians.
Yeah,
I wonder, do people think the Bretonnians smash them? We'll have to.
I think it does.
3 pillars hitting a knight unit. We'll do damage.
Who plays knight?
Even
just
the advantage.
Knight unit.
The 7 pegs is going to be too hard to run away from.
The 7 peg list, yes, but yeah.
The 360
Adam's list, you can 1 unit of pegs you can do.
Yeah.
I have
I'm not too
no doubt about that.
Less worried about that one for sure.
Look, we're probably out of time again. We're a little short on this one, but we'll be able to get through the rest because we've had our own self-indulgent ones in all of the first 3.